Hi, this is Mindy Donald, and I am a middle school reading teacher, and I am here to discuss with you a proposal I have about how to ensure that all of our third grade students are reading at grade level before they enter the fourth grade. Failure truly is not an option when it comes to our students and reading. Why is reading important? Why is reading important? Literacy is a tool for achieving economic, social, and personal goals. Literacy transforms lives. It addresses social maladies, and it bolsters sagging economies. Literacy is one of the most important things that we can give to our children. The ability to read is a critical factor for everyone in order for them to live a healthy, happy, and productive life. Without reading, and I tell my students all the time, reading is a skill that you need for every career, regardless of what you choose to be. The most expensive burden that we as teachers are placing on society today is those students we failed to teach well. Worldwide leaders today complain that workers are entering the workforce unprepared to successfully engage in complex literacy-based activities. This has led to the legislative action that is in the United States today, and that is Iowa law, the Iowa Code Section 279 and 281 that promotes effective evidence-based programming, instruction, and assessment practices across schools to support all students to become proficient readers by the end of the third grade. And we've already had this in place. We've begun interventions in our school district. We have the assessments that we need, but we still are seeing students that are not moving towards that proficiency trajectory. And we need to understand that failure truly is not an option when it comes to these students. We have got to find a way to ensure that our students are becoming proficient by the end of the third grade. I believe this is possible by this plan of action, by our RTI, or Right to Intervention and Support Team, by pumping up the staff with some phenomenal professional development, and by getting us excited to teach again, by implementing an accelerated reading program by third and fourth grade that has intense reading instruction, and by keeping communication open. And that doesn't mean just communication between ourselves and the students. That means keeping communication open between the school board and the public, between the administration and the teachers, and between the teachers and the parents. One of the most important things that we can do to ensure that our students are going to succeed through this plan of action is to keep that communication open. The RTI support team is the first part of that plan of action. I want that support team to focus on those 20% of students that fall in the RTI tiers of 2 and 3. I want it to be data driven. That means that the data that we receive from anything we have, the data that we receive from these students must drive our instruction. So the data isn't just we give them a test and we do nothing with the data, which we've done in the past. We have to use that data to move these students forward. And who should be involved? When I thought about it, it's hard to recommend certain people, but we need administration involved. We need a curriculum director. We need a reading specialist. Teachers that are reading endorsed and are professionally prepared to teach these students. And we need some parents involved. We need paras involved. We need those associates that can help these students. The 3 tiers of instruction for RTI go somewhat like this. The bottom tier are those school-wide interventions that are the 80 to 90% of the students, in which it's a school-wide intervention. But the tier 2 is when we do that core instruction and more targeted interventions for the 5 to 10% of students that need more intense intervention. And the top tier is the 1 to 5% of students that need core instruction as well as very intensive interventions. And those top 2 tiers, that 10 to 15% of students, are the students that I plan that we need to really work with. RTI. RTI is something that we have been using, the right to intervention, and we have implemented the Warrior program and different interventions throughout the school district. But one thing that I think that where we're failing is that our interventions have to be backed 100% by everyone in the school district. Everybody's got to buy into it. That includes administration and the public. We need support from everyone. Our administration needs to back up what we're doing. Our teachers need to buy into it. They need to understand that what they're doing is going to help students succeed. The students need to buy into it. They need to know that what we're doing for them. We're doing that so that we can help them succeed. And teachers must have professional development in order to be able to help these students succeed. They need to have professional development to specifically teach them how to instruct these students. In order for teachers to be effective in the instruction of reading, they have to receive professional development that includes formal instruction coupled with some classroom support from reading literacy coaches or those reading specialists. Without that, our students aren't going to succeed and will not become proficient. So formal instruction from experts in the field of reading, classroom support from reading literacy coaches that come in and help the teachers, provide instant feedback, and help with lessons. Students are more likely to reach those goals and become proficient in reading when everyone who influences student learning is involved, engaged, and focused. From administration and teachers, our reading specialists, and any other specialists we have come into the school district. The associates have to be there and be engaged. The parents, everyone has to be, because students are going to learn, and they're going to learn better and be more successful when everybody that's involved is engaged and focused and have their eyes set on the prize. They're prepared to learn. And they're prepared to be focused and engaged on that goal that we all have in mind. Teachers will be better, and teachers will be more engaged when they're given adequate time for professional development. That includes collaboration, and I'm not just saying collaboration in the classroom. They need collaboration with experts and with the administration and the reading specialists. They have to have a common goal, and they all need to buy onto that common goal, being that we as teachers and as a district we will teach and we will instruct so that our students will become proficient by the time they are ready to enter the 3rd grade. They must focus on student learning evidence. That means the evidence that we have gained from their testing and from the classroom work and independent work. They need to be able to focus on that evidence to see that their students are learning. And if they're not learning, they need to figure out how to remedy that unsatisfactory progress. Students are going to learn, and teachers are going to buy into this when the leadership team is present there and committed to it. Our leadership team has got to promote an understanding of that common goal. They need to promote that understanding to everybody in the school building, students and staff alike. They also need to foster school board and community support. Everybody's got to buy into this. I know I've said that, but everybody has to buy into it to make it work. In order for our students to become proficient in reading, everybody has to be in on this. So our leadership team has got to get out in the community and to the school board and get that support from them and get them to back this program. The second prong of this is to implement, or the third prong, is to implement accelerated reading classes. And this is not the accelerated reading where they read a book, they take a quiz, they pass the quiz, they get so many points. That's not what we're doing now. This is, accelerated reading means now it's a class or program where the focal point of those pedagogical supports and services are implemented to increase a student's reading level at least by 2 grades in one school year. So that focus, that main focus in those classrooms, or that reading class or program, will be to improve the student's reading level at least 2 years. So it's going to be a very focused, very powerful intervention time. There would be a 3rd grade reading accelerated class, as well as a 4th grade reading accelerated class. These students would be placed in these classes based on a comprehensive balanced assessment system. That we have the balanced, we have the SMART, or we have the FAST assessments that we will be using, as well as other local ones that we can use on an alternative basis. By formative and summative assessments, we do a lot of formative assessments in the classroom and observations. We do a lot of summative assessments in the classroom. All of these things will be documented. So we'll be able to go back and look through all of these assessments, observations, all of the grades, the data that we have accumulated for these students over time in regards to reading, and we'll decide where they're placed. Administration, the superintendent, and the principal will be the ones that make the decisions based on the data that we've given them. The teachers for these positions must be experts. They're going to be chosen based on their credentials. For the first part, we want to make sure that they are experts in teaching. They're reading specialists. They're reading endorsed. They have some years under their belt. They're motivated. They're ones that want to get in the classroom and want to teach and want their students to learn. And these teachers also will be chosen based on student outcomes of reading proficiency. So they're going to be chosen based on how they've taught in the classroom and how their students are reading. If their students are proficient in reading, they're the ones that we want, because they're doing what they need to do in the classroom for students to succeed. The first classroom will be the 3rd grade accelerated class. These students will be considered retained and will have 3rd grade standards and curriculum. And the reason they'll have the 3rd grade standards, these would be the students that are maybe not just below or proficient or not proficient in reading, but maybe have some lower proficiency levels in some other areas. They would have the 3rd grade standards and curriculum, but they would have a powerful 90-minute focused reading instruction in that classroom. Very powerful, very focused, and it will be something that they have every day, 90 minutes every day. And I believe by having that focused reading instruction, we're going to accelerate their reading skills by at least 2 grade levels in that classroom in that year. One of the most important pieces of this is that they do have the opportunity to be promoted or to move forward to 4th grade mid-year. If they can pass one of our local alternative comp tests, one of the assessments that we've put together. And another neat piece of this is that they can pass by this reading portfolio. The reading portfolio would be that the teacher would gather and would choose some independent student work. This work would be signed by the teacher and the principal to be given to the superintendent. This independent student work is going to demonstrate, it's going to show us that the students have demonstrated their reading ability, and also that they demonstrate mastery of standards for the 3rd grade. So a reading portfolio is really cool because it shows how they've grown. It's going to show us how they've grown while they're in this 3rd grade accelerated reading class, and I believe that it's going to allow the students to move forward and be promoted to the next class within that first semester. The second class would be the 4th grade accelerated reading class. This one would have the 4th grade standards and curriculum. Students would also be considered retained, but they would have a 90-minute intense reading instruction of pull-out time, so that they would come out of the classroom and they would meet with that reading specialist or those reading reading teachers, and they would get an intense reading intervention in which they would work to increase their skill level by at least 2 grades and pull them up to the 5th grade level by the time they read, or by the time they are ready to leave the 4th grade classroom. They would be getting the 4th grade standards and curriculum, and this would be because where they were deficient would only be in reading. They aren't deficient in other areas. So because we're trying to improve their reading skills, their proficiency in reading, then we can give them that 90 minutes of intense reading instruction pull-out time. In conclusion, I can't stress enough the importance of our students becoming proficient by the end of 3rd grade in reading. Without being able to read, it's hard to survive in this world. We read newspapers, we read maps, there's reading everywhere, and for students not to be able to read, that's a huge disservice for us. Our job is to teach them, and we need teachers in the classroom that are prepared to teach. And to do that, we have got to make sure that they get some professional development and they're motivated. Everybody has to buy into this program. It's not something that we can just jump into and expect kids to learn. Everybody's got to buy into it. And we all have to we have to believe in ourselves and be winners. I mean, we can't expect to win if we don't believe in ourselves, and our students aren't going to expect to succeed unless we have that expectation for them. So please take my presentation and my proposal into consideration, because I really want our students to succeed, and I want to be a part of the expectations for this school district in which all students are proficient in reading by the end of 3rd grade. Thank you.